I've been living on the streets for a couple of weeks now. I just turned 18, and my parents decided that was the perfect time to kick me out. I think they'd been planning it ever since they found out I was gay a few months ago. I guess it's my fault for not being smart enough to save money or get a job before it happened. I cared too much about school, thinking my grades would secure my future. Turns out, none of that mattered. My birthday came the day after graduation, but instead of celebrating, I was outside my own home, begging to be let back in. I even offered to go to conversion therapy, but they didn't care. When I returned home that evening, the locks were changed and my things were stuffed into a suitcase. I had no place to go, no one to call. I had to unenroll from the university I'd gotten into because I couldn't afford it anymore. Even with scholarships, I couldn't cover the housing fees, and my parents refused to help fill out the paperwork for financial aid. My friends didn't stick around either. Once they found out I was gay, they ghosted me completely. I couldn't even find a couch to crash on. The little bit of cash I had saved from birthdays and holidays disappeared fast on cheap motels and food. The towns around me were dying. Empty stores, closed factories, and no job openings. So I used what was left of my money to take a bus to a nearby city. I won't say where, but it doesn't really matter. What's happening here probably happens everywhere. When I first got to the city, I tried to find a job. But who's going to hire a dirty, exhausted teenager with no clean clothes or a dress? I couldn't afford transportation, soap, or even a haircut. Everything about me screamed homeless. The shelters were all full or only took in women, so I ended up in a homeless camp under the highway. I didn't have another option. The park had security guards, and anywhere else I went, I was chased away or had things thrown at me. I still refused to beg. I thought I could get through this somehow. The camp was a strange little world of its own. Tall, rusted steel beams held up the highway above us. The traffic never stopped. It just roared past. The people up there living their perfect lives, while we were trapped below like ghosts. It felt like time didn't exist down there. Days blurred together, and the only thing that marked the hours was the cold wind and the sound of cars rushing by. Fences covered in blue tarp surrounded the area, hiding us from the rest of the city. Like our existence was something shameful. Even so, I was better off than most around me. I wasn't sick, didn't use drugs, and still had all my senses. Life hadn't completely crushed me yet. The first night I tried to settle in, I picked a spot near one of the massive bridge pillars in the center of the camp. I was trying to get comfortable when I noticed everyone suddenly ducking into their tents. The shift was so fast it sent chills down my spine, like they all knew something I didn't. I heard footsteps and then a rough voice call out, "You got somewhere to stay, kid?" I turned toward the sound and saw a man standing nearby, coughing harshly. "I'm sorry," I said, unsure of what to do. "You need a tent?" "I got extra room," he said, pointing at a small, filthy tent that looked like it could barely fit one person. Before I could answer, a woman appeared out of nowhere and shoved me gently away from him. "Don't," she whispered. "Han, you shouldn't be here." "Are you sure you got nowhere else to go?" Her face was lined with dirt and exhaustion. "No. Why?" "What's going on?" I asked, confused and uneasy. She didn't answer right away, just grabbed my arm and led me toward her tent. It was bigger than the man's, bright yellow but patched together with duct tape. Inside was a little gas stove, an old oil lamp, and piles of worn clothing. It wasn't much, but it was warmer and safer than being outside. "Listen, kid," she said quietly, her tone hurried but serious. "You can stay here, but there are rules. You have to know them by heart, understand?" I nodded, my heart thudding in my chest. She glanced toward the tent opening, then back at me. "Rule 1, they only come out when the sun sets. They go back into hiding when dawn breaks." Her voice trembled just a little. I frowned, confused. "Who's they?" I asked, but she kept going. "Rule 2, Don't let them know you're here. If they realize you've seen them, you're done. And last rule, no matter what you hear, no matter what you see, don't go outside. Even if you hear someone screaming your name or crying for help. Do you understand me? Her voice shook as she said it, and though she tried to act calm, I could tell she was scared. I nodded again. Okay, I got it. But who are they? I asked, hoping she'd give me something, anything to ease the dread building in my stomach. She sighed and looked toward the wall of the tent. We'll talk tomorrow. Tonight you need to rest. It'll be midnight soon, and we should both be asleep by then. I didn't want to argue. I was too tired to think. As she layered blankets over a sleeping bag, I crawled in beside it, still alert but fading fast. Despite everything, something about her presence calmed me. She felt safe, like a mother I never really had. My eyes drifted shut, and before I knew it, sleep pulled me under. I don't know what time it was when the barking started. Dogs, dozens of them it sounded like, crying and howling in the distance. I woke up instantly, my pulse pounding in my ears. The tent was pitch dark except for the faint orange glow from the streetlights outside, which made blurry shadows dance across the thin plastic walls. I couldn't see much, but I felt something. The air changed. It grew heavy, foul, thick with the stench of rot. Every hair on my body stood up. I didn't know why, but I could feel something watching. Then from the corner of my eye, I saw movement, a shape, a person or something shaped like one, crouched low, its limbs long and twisted. It was standing just beyond the tent, hunched so far forward that its arms almost brushed the ground. Its spine stuck out like knives beneath its skin, and its face, God, its face wasn't right. The nose stretched forward like a dog's snout, and the hair hung down in tangled, filthy clumps. I wanted to close my eyes, but I couldn't. I was frozen, staring, trembling. After a few moments, it drifted away into the dark. I didn't dare move. I stayed awake the entire night, eyes wide open, waiting for the sun. When light finally began to bleed through the tent, I heard Sandra's voice beside me. "Morning, kid," she said softly, smiling weakly as she sat up. "Didn't get your name last night." "Matthew," I whispered, still staring at the ground. "I saw something last night." She went quiet, her expression turning cold and serious. Without a word, she got off the cot and walked over to a small table, grabbing a water bottle. She handed one to me before taking a sip from her own. "What did this one look like?" she asked finally. I frowned, confused. "What do you mean, this one?" "There's more?" She sighed, rubbing her forehead before saying, "I'll be honest, kid. I don't know what they are. They started coming out of the sewers a few months ago, right after the forest fires. From what I've seen, the local authorities know about them, but there's not much they can do. They only come out at night. But lately, they've been getting bolder. They used to stay far away from this area, but now they're getting comfortable." My stomach twisted. "What do they do?" I asked quietly. She shook her head. "I don't know, and I don't want to. All I know is that noise attracts them. If you're asleep, they usually leave you alone." I swallowed hard. "Then why are people still here? Shouldn't we leave?" Her eyes softened for a moment before she looked away. "This is the only place in the city where the cops don't care. They've practically dumped us here like garbage. There's nowhere else to go." Her voice dropped to a whisper as she said, "Besides, it wouldn't matter anyway." "What do you mean?" I asked, nervous. She hesitated, her tone almost breaking. "The rumor is, those things are everywhere. I've met people who've seen them in other states, all across the country. Whatever this is, it's not just here." A chill ran through me. "Do people try to fight them?" I asked, though I already feared the answer. "Old Jacob said he heard of some guy who shot one, put half a magazine into it, but it wouldn't go down." Her voice fell to a shaky whisper. And do you? That's enough, she interrupted sharply. Don't talk about them. They can hear when you talk about them. I don't want trouble. She handed me a can of food. Eat up. Not much, but it'll keep your belly full for a day, she said, forcing a small smile before sitting across from me and asking about my life, where I came from, how I ended up here. Her questions were gentle, almost motherly, but I could tell her mind was elsewhere. That night I tried to sleep again, but all I could think about were those things, the way she described them, the smell from last night. I wanted to believe it was all in my head, but deep down, I knew it wasn't. Just as I started to drift off, it happened again. That same static feeling in the air, the smell of rot filling my nose, the distant cries of dogs echoing through the night. But this time, one barked right outside our tent. "Rudolph, get back here, boy!" a man hissed somewhere nearby. Through the thin plastic wall, I saw movement. The dog ran past our tent, barking wildly at something in the dark. Then I saw it. That same twisted shadow, only taller this time. Its arms hung to its knees, ending in sharp, curved claws. It moved fast, snatching the dog mid-bark and ripping it in half like paper. The sound it made, the horrible whimpering, still echoes in my head. The tent walls splattered dark with blood. "Rudolph!" the man shouted, charging forward with a stick, swinging wildly. But the creature turned on him in an instant. It grabbed him by the throat and slammed him against the side of our tent, tearing through the thin fabric. Both of them fell onto me. I froze, unable to breathe, the smell of iron and decay choking me. The man screamed while Sandra shouted his name, trying to pull him away. But the thing was already on him. Its bald head gleamed under the flickering light, its eyes empty and cold. A wide, twisted smile stretched across its face, revealing rows of sharp, blood-soaked teeth. Then its mouth opened wider, too wide, and a long black tongue covered in tiny spines slithered out, sliding down the man's throat. His screams turned into gurgles as blood sprayed everywhere. Some of it hit my face, warm and sticky. I tried to scream but couldn't. Sandra lunged forward, clamping a hand over my mouth and pulling me away. "Shh," she hissed, dragging me out of the tent as quietly as she could. We ran through the darkness, weaving between tents as muffled cries and rustling echoed around us. The camp was silent otherwise, terrified eyes peering from inside tents, no one daring to help. We reached the far edge of the encampment, where an old rusted car sat half buried under blue tarps. Sandra yanked one corner up and motioned for me to crawl under. "Hurry, kid, we don't have time. Stay under here, and whatever happens, don't move. Don't make a sound. Don't come out, not even if you hear my voice." "Wait until the sun comes up," she whispered urgently. My hands were shaking as I crawled under the car. The ground was freezing cold. She covered the opening with the tarp and turned away. Through a small tear, I could just see her silhouette. She picked up a metal pipe and held it tight, ready to swing. Then I heard it, the voice. It wasn't human. It was rasping, broken, like an animal trying to mimic speech. It called out words in a tone that made my skin crawl. "Rudolph, we found you." It sounded like it was copying the dead man's voice, twisting it into something unholy. The thing appeared again, crawling on all fours through the puddles toward us, its body soaked in blood that dripped to the ground. Sandra didn't hesitate. She swung the pipe, but the creature caught it easily. With one hand, it grabbed her wrist. With the other, it wrapped its claws around her throat, lifting her off the ground. She kicked and thrashed, but it only grinned. I wanted to scream, but I pressed my hand over my mouth and squeezed my eyes shut as its spiny black tongue slid from its mouth and into hers. The wet, choking sounds went on for what felt like forever. Then silence. I waited, trembling, heart pounding so hard I thought it would give me away. I heard footsteps, slow, heavy, wet. They circled the car. The metal creaked as something climbed on top of it. I stopped breathing. I lay there frozen, counting the seconds in my head, praying for dawn. Hours passed before the thing finally moved again. I heard it step off the car, its dragging footsteps fading into the distance. When the first faint light of morning touched the sky, I peeked through the torn tarp. It was gone, but not before turning its head slightly toward me. Its face was slick with blood, its teeth bared in a slight, knowing grin. It held my gaze for a moment, then disappeared into the shadows, like it was proud of what it had done. I stayed under the car until the heat of the sun made the concrete beneath me burn my skin. Only then did I crawl out. My legs shook as I walked back toward the camp. People were gathered near the front entrance, murmuring and pointing. Police cars and black SUVs blocked the path, flashing lights bouncing off the steel beams overhead. "Stay back! Nothing to see here. Return to your tents," an older officer barked through a loudspeaker. Sandra's tent was surrounded by yellow tape, detectives pacing around it. A few cops stood near the barricade, talking quietly. "Damn, another one muttered. "Hey, you think those suits know what's doing this?" the other asked. "Could be some psycho, like a copycat killer," the first said. "Nah," the second snorted. "Bet it's aliens." They laughed softly, completely unaware of how close the truth was. But then one of them stopped mid-laugh, looking past the crowd. His eyes locked right on me. "Hey, no one had blood on his face." The kid froze. I stopped right there, feeling like a deer caught in headlights. My heart was pounding as I stumbled backward, looking for any way out. I wasn't going to jail, not for this. I knew they'd try to pin it all on me. Suddenly, I heard gunshots behind me, and a bystander dropped to the ground right next to me. I didn't even get the chance to see who it was before something heavy slammed into me. The force made us both crash onto the floor. It was one of the cops. He pressed my arm down hard while another cuffed my wrists. They dragged me up roughly, trying to haul me away when a group of men in black suits stepped in. "He's under our custody now," one of them said calmly. "Thanks, boys, but we'll take it from here." The cops looked furious. "Screw you! We caught him. He's ours. You don't even have jurisdiction here." The bald man in the suit didn't even blink. His voice stayed steady. "That should be the least of your worries. You should focus on learning how to handle a situation before losing control. You expect us to trust you with a key witness?" The argument exploded into chaos. Yelling, swearing, and confusion filled the air. Then just like that, the cops backed off and stormed away, leaving me alone with the men in suits. I looked up at the bald man. His skin was so pale it almost glowed under the lights. I could see every blue vein and tendon beneath it, like he wasn't quite human. His eyes were hidden behind thick black sunglasses that made his expression unreadable. "We're going to take you to our headquarters," he said quietly. "We just need to talk." "Is that okay?" I didn't even care about the blood still splattered on my face. I just nodded. Soon we were speeding away in a black van. I tried looking out the window, but the glass was too dark to see through. So I sat in silence, heart racing, with the bald man beside me. He was typing on his laptop, his face lit by the faint glow of the screen. In the reflection of his glasses, I could see crime scene photos. Bloody, disturbing, wrong. When I leaned forward to look closer, he noticed. Slowly, he turned the laptop toward me, a strange smile curling at the corner of his mouth. "Better?" he asked. "Sorry," I muttered, sinking back into my seat. The images burned into my mind. Bodies ripped in half, torn apart like something had hunted them. They weren't like the ones from last night. These were worse, much worse. I felt cold, like the air had been sucked out of the van. After what felt like forever, we stopped. They covered my head with a black sack, and I could feel myself being guided through a long hallway. The sound was muffled. The air was heavy and still, like we were deep underground. When they finally removed the sack, I saw I was in a small empty room, just a chair, a table, and that same man sitting across from me. "All right, Matthew," he said, scrolling on a tablet. "Says here you're unemployed, living at your parents' place. Kind of far from home, don't you think?" I hesitated. I was kicked out for being gay. I moved here hoping to find a job. "Well, that's unfortunate," he replied softly. "But maybe we can make an arrangement. You help us, and we'll help you." "What do you mean?" I asked, my hands shaking slightly. "I just need you to tell me everything you saw last night. Every detail. Don't leave anything out." He leaned back, crossing his arms, waiting. So I told him. Every scream, every strange noise, every flash of horror before they caught me. When I finished, he just stared for a moment before saying, "Sandra barely knew you, yet she sacrificed herself for you. Tell me, do you miss her?" I frowned. What kind of question is that? I thought he was mocking me, but his tone didn't change. He stayed calm, too calm. "Listen," he said, "we know about them. We just don't know why they're surfacing again. Something's driving them out from below. Maybe it's the fires. Maybe something worse. Whatever it is, stay away from the lower districts. The filth, the forgotten tunnels. Those places are crawling with them. But honestly, that's not even the biggest problem. There are darker things out there. Things we still don't understand." I stared at him, my chest tightening. He was serious. Deadly serious. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. "Why me?" He gave a small smirk. "Because we don't work for the government. And maybe, I just wanted to see how you'd react. You won't be able to prove any of this anyway. We're already cleaning up the scene. You'll be monitored, of course. But maybe one day you'll even work with us." His grin widened, childish and unsettling, like he was thrilled by some private joke. After that, everything became a blur. I remember waking up in a strange hotel room, my clothes clean, a brand new phone and laptop beside me. There were instructions taped to the desk, telling me how to log into a new bank account. Enough money to live comfortably for years. I don't know why I'm writing this. Maybe I just need to feel something again. Anything other than the numbness that's been crawling through my soul since that night. I keep wondering what he meant when he said there were worse things to fear. What could possibly be worse than what I saw?